Hello and good evening. The Modi government in its second term is marching on further on the path it travelled down its first term on ensuring the widest possible social security net. It now extends to small and marginal farmers, small traders and self-employed people in terms of two key pension schemes. The PM was in Jharkhand's capital Ranchi, where he launched one of these key schemes along with several other gifts for the people of the tribal-dominated state. We'll be talking about that on Newsnight tonight with our guests, along with updating you about several other key developments within and outside the country, including a possible thaw in the ongoing trade war between the US and China. But first, our headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launches Pradhan Mantri Kisan Man Dhan Yojana and National Pension Scheme for traders and self-employed persons in Jharkhand's capital Ranchi, along with several other gifts for the people of the tribal-dominated state. Says the nation has honoured those building New India by providing pension schemes for small traders, farmers and the self-employed. The PM inaugurates the new Jharkhand Legislative Assembly building during his Ranchi visit, also lays foundation stones for over 400 Eklavya Vidyalayas. Green light also shown for the multimodal terminal at Sahibganj. The PM says this is just the beginning. The coming 5 years will see more promises being fulfilled. Great news for apple growers and traders in Jammu and Kashmir. Governor Satyapal Malik unveils a market intervention scheme in Srinagar to ensure remunerative procurement of the fruit. Authorities say restrictions off in most areas of the state, health and banking services fully functional. Mobile services also restarted in some areas of Kashmir. 3 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists arrested following the seizure of a truck loaded with arms and explosives in Jammu and Kashmir's Katwa. Key resolution adopted in the meeting of prominent national minority organisation Jamiat Ulema-e-Hind. The resolution says Kashmir is an integral part of India and the welfare of the people in the Kashmir Valley lies in integration with the country. India gives an earful to Pakistan over a statement refusing second consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav. The Ministry of External Affairs says it will use diplomatic means to take the matter up further. Pakistan's Interior Minister also puts his own country in the dock, accepts world believes India, not Pakistan, over Kashmir, and Pakistan has been harbouring terrorists. Signs of thaw ahead of looming winter, the new age Cold War over trade between US and China. Donald Trump reciprocates China's olive branch move of taking several American goods off its high tariffs list by announcing a 15-day halt on his government's tit-for-tat tariff increase on $215 billion worth of Chinese goods. And Delhi's Firozshah Kotla will be known as Arun Jaitley Stadium starting today after the late former finance minister. One of the pavilions has also been named after Indian cricket team captain Virat Kohli. And more news related to cricket. The Indian Test team announced for the home series against South Africa. Opener Lokesh Rahul dropped, Rohit Sharma gets the nod. Young Shubman Gill will be the latest new kid on the block in Team India. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi rolled out the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Man Dhan Yojana in Jharkhand today. The PM also handed over certificates to farmers, many of whom were women. The PM also launched a national pension scheme for small and medium traders and self-employed entrepreneurs. Traders with a turnover of less than 1.5 crore rupees per annum will be eligible for the scheme. Such traders will be eligible for pension of 3,000 rupees a month. This is a contributory scheme with a minimum contribution set at 55 rupees per month. Maximum contribution has been set at 200 rupees.
जोरदार तालियों के साथ सबकी हौसला अफजाई आप जरूर करते रहे। आप चलाते हैं जम्मू कश्मीर के तरिश्म सिंह जी हमारे बीच इस आसाम से हमारे बीच इस समय तालियां आपकी तरफ से जरूर होती।
हमने कभी देश के असंगठित कामदारों को पेंशन की योजना दी, बाद में किसानों के लिए पेंशन योजना, उसके बाद व्यापारी और स्वरोजगारी के लिए पेंशन की योजना, यानी एक प्रकार से देश को बनाने में जिनकी बहुत बड़ी भूमिका है, ऐसे समाज के सभी वर्गों को बुढ़ापे में मुसीबत में जीना न पड़े, उसकी गारंटी ये पेंशन योजना लेकर के आई। पूरे देश के छोटे किसानों, दुकानदारों, व्यापारियों, कारोबारियों से आग्रह करूंगा कि इन योजनाओं का आप लाभ जरूर उठाइए।
And the Prime Minister also heralded a new era in the development journey of Jharkhand when he inaugurated the second riverine multimodal terminal at Sahibganj. Now, this trade point has been completed in record time. Here's more in this report.
During his day-long visit to Ranchi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched several important developmental projects for the state, including a multimodal terminal at Sahibganj. Built under the Jal Marg Vikas project at a cost of 290 crore rupees, the project has been completed in record time of 2 years. It was Prime Minister Narendra Modi who had laid the foundation stone for the project in 2017.
ये जलमार्ग झारखंड को पूरे देश से ही नहीं बल्कि विदेश से भी जोड़ेगा। इस टर्मिनल से यहां के आदिवासी भाई बहनों को, यहां के किसानों को अपने उत्पाद अब पूरे देश के बाजारों में और आसानी से पहुंच पाने में सुविधा होगी। ये टर्मिनल रोजगार के नए अवसर भी तैयार करेगा। प्रगति की दृष्टि से देखें या पर्यावरण की दृष्टि से, ये जलमार्ग बहुत ही लाभकारी सिद्ध होगा।
The Sahibganj terminal will play an important role in the development journey of Jharkhand and Bihar, acting as a gateway for industries in these states and connecting them to global markets. This is the second riverine multimodal terminal in the country. The first has been built in Varanasi and was inaugurated in November 2018 by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The terminal will specially benefit the coal sector, stone chips, fertilizer, cement and sugar industries. Acting as a point of convergence for road, rail, river routes, it will improve connectivity to Kolkata, Haldia and adjoining areas. The terminal will be connected to northeast states via Bangladesh by a river-sea route. With a current capacity of 30 lakh tons per annum, it is expected to touch 54.8 lakh tons per annum in the second phase. Built under the PPP model with an investment of 376 crore rupees, it will be a force multiplier for development in the region.
कनेक्टिविटी के दूसरे माध्यमों पर भी झारखंड में तेजी से काम हो रहा है। जिन क्षेत्रों में शाम के बाद बाहर निकलना मुश्किल था, वहां अब सड़कें भी बन रही हैं और सड़कों पर चहल पहल भी नजर आ रही है। सिर्फ हाईवे के लिए ही 9,000 करोड़ रुपए से अधिक के प्रोजेक्ट झारखंड के लिए स्वीकृत किए गए, जिसमें से अनेक पूरे भी हो चुके हैं।
PM Modi asserted that for his government, development is not just a priority but a commitment towards the nation, and his day-long Jharkhand visit illustrated just that. With Kumar Alok and Divakar Kumar in Ranchi, Bureau Report, DD News.
And that brings up our in focus tonight, which is mega pension schemes for farmers and small traders. And to talk about it, we have Shubhamoy Bhattacharjee, senior economic journalist with us in our studio. Welcome and a very good evening to you, Shubhamoy. Now, you've been watching, how governments work and what they do for the people of the country for decades, professionally, even otherwise, if we go back further. Did you ever think there would be a day when there would be pension schemes for small and marginal farmers, small traders and self-employed, and that's a term that's used for people who even who are perhaps in the gig economy now.
Yeah, social security net is probably one of the most important factor to have if an economy wants to really say that I care for everybody who's not getting provided for when the economy moves on. To put it simply, what happens is that whenever those who are non-salaried yet are not in a position to be able to fend for themselves, they need the security net in the old age. And frankly speaking, what we understand is that most economies actually find it very difficult to be able to provide that sort of a security net to so many people at one go, especially because what happens is when your per capita income is low, it becomes quite difficult to be able to generate the resources to be able to store it away so that you can create a pension. Because remember, this pension is at one level it encourages consumption, but what it does is it draws up a large part of the state's finances. So to that extent, it's a very bold step. It's actually something which it's frankly something, if the mass of people for whom it's addressed, if they are able to draw upon it and to be able to get it and get over the hurdles that typically happens in India when programs of this scale are drawn up. But if this really gets done, this is a massive sort of as a net to help people out. The project possibilities are massive in any which way you look at it.
How distinct is this from the past? In fact, if you look at previous schemes and the expectation that used to be there at one stage of time that the government will provide everything, it will be free. This is not free. Whoever wants to avail of the scheme, they will have to spend something on their own as well. So it's not really a dole. So that's not something that this government really believes in, which is again very positive.
That's true. This entire thing is sort of an insurance scheme.
Yes.
But what happens is, since the government sort of stands with the, as the provider of the support of the scheme, so the people's expectation is that this is going to be funded by the government, which is good politically. It's very rewarding. But what it also does is it brings the governments and each state government into the center of executing the scheme. So schemes like this, and if you connect it with Ayushman Bharat, or if you connect it with schemes like Ujala, or schemes like Saubhagya, all of those essentially connected schemes where the government is saying that I am creating an architecture where the poor are sort of taken care of.
And nominal sums of money.
Nominal sums of money, that's the advantage of what you would call a very massive level of, these sort of things, that as the volume goes up, the per head allocation is actually what needs to be paid for becomes lower, because it becomes viable for the insurance companies. And to that extent, these are very, very useful. They actually, and how useful, you can take it from a note that was put up by S&P.
Yes.
Standard & Poor's last year, when it was looking at India's ratings, one of the things that they said is that we shall be reevaluating India's ratings only when we are convinced that India's per capita income and social security net becomes something which is universal. Now that is something very, very remarkable, because this is exactly what the government would be working towards. So these are all quite related. The big challenge, of course, is whether the fisc at any stage can take the pressure which such a scheme brings on. That of course remains a challenge, and that we can talk about later.
Yes, certainly, because provisions have been made as far as even Mandhan is concerned, the Kisan Mandhan Yojana for the next 3 years, over 17,000 crore rupees. So that's been accounted for.
That's true. But as you realize that when, for instance, the Kisan Mandhan scheme, all of these schemes, they take away a substantial part of the government's money. And that makes it, in fact, this year's budget, the big discussion was that whether the government is sort of squaring off between providing a fiscal stimulus for the economy, which it needs, versus the social safety net that's creating, which would be more useful. And while there's no doubt about the fact that the social safety net is very necessary, the allocations become massive. The Kisan Samman Yojana takes about 75,000 crore. Unlike, say, the drinking water mission, which is a sort of an investment program, these are support programs. Now, that support program, to be able to run well, has to be provided.
But we can talk about how the support is also vital, but let's just play out this report about what really happened today and why is it very, very essential to understand what's been done today to be able to figure out what will be the impact down the line.
जब गरीब के जीवन की चिंता कम होती है, रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी में संघर्ष कम होता है, तो वो खुद इतनी ताकत रखता है कि अपने को गरीबी से बाहर निकालने का प्रयास शुरू कर देता है.
Farmers who feed the nation have been bearing the brunt of floods and drought for decades. 70 years after independence, Modi government that took on the pledge of improving their lot, promising to double farmers' income by 2022. And it didn't stop there. Taking welfare to the next level, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced Pradhan Mantri Kisan Man Dhan Yojana, the first ever pension scheme for farmers. He rolled out the scheme in Ranchi on Thursday, making the first online transfer.
हमारी सरकार हर भारतवासी को सामाजिक सुरक्षा का कवच देने का प्रयास कर रही है. सरकार उन लोगों के साथी बन रही है जिनको सबसे ज्यादा सहाय की जरूरत है.
So far, over 13,29,000 farmers have joined the scheme across the country since 9th of August when the registration began. Farmers who own 2 hectares or less of land and are between 18 and 40 years of age are eligible for this scheme. Depending on their age, they need to make a monthly contribution ranging between Rs 55 and Rs 200. Within a month, the union government's contribution stands at over Rs 16 crore. Rs 3,000 per month will be paid as pension after a farmer turns 60. Prime Minister Modi also launched a national pension scheme for small and medium traders and self-employed entrepreneurs. Traders with a turnover of less than 1.5 crore rupees per annum will be eligible for a pension of Rs 3,000 per month. An estimated 3 crore Vyaparis in the country are expected to benefit from this scheme.
देश को बनाने में जिनकी बहुत बड़ी भूमिका है, ऐसे समाज के सभी वर्गों को बुढ़ापे में मुसीबत में जीना न पड़े, उसकी गारंटी ये पेंशन योजना लेकर के आई.
Adding social justice to the script of social security, Prime Minister Modi digitally launched the beginning of work for 462 Eklavya model residential schools across the country. These schools will provide quality upper primary, secondary and senior secondary level education to ST students in tribal dominated areas.
ये एकलव्य स्कूल आदिवासी बच्चों की पढ़ाई लिखाई के माध्यम तो है ही है. यहां स्पोर्ट्स, खेलकूद, जो यहां के बच्चों का सामर्थ्य है, और स्किल डेवलपमेंट, हुनर, हाथ के अंदर सामर्थ्य देना, स्थानीय कला और संस्कृति के संरक्षण के लिए भी उस पर सुविधाएं होंगी. इन स्कूलों में सरकार हर आदिवासी बच्चे पर हर साल 1 लाख रुपए से अधिक खर्च करेगी.
Clearly, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas isn't just a motto for the Modi government.
विकास हमारी प्राथमिकता भी है और हमारी प्रतिबद्धता भी.
With Divakar and Kumar Alok in Ranchi, Bureau Report, DD News.
And Shubhamoy Bhattacharjee is with us talking about these pension schemes for small and marginal farmers, traders and the self-employed. And Shubhamoy, You were mentioning that the challenge could be meeting the expenses, so to speak, but think of the spin-offs that could be there if the social security net is widened, it's universalized almost.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I started off, that this is huge by any concept. Let's take an example of, for instance, the small enterprises, the micro enterprises. What we don't realize is that micro enterprise is essentially a person just doing her or his, working on just his very rudimentary working capital. For that person to get to be assured that there is going to be a pension scheme, because that person might be able to generate the cash, but the problem that comes along is for her to be able to create a fund which can be a pension for her when she becomes older is a very difficult financial challenge.
Okay.
It is impossible for her to be able to conceive and to create that sort of a system. This scheme actually can do that. It can be, it's not a magic wand, but it's actually works through the financial inclusion system, and that is remarkable, because what it does is it creates that sense that I'll not really be out on the streets the moment my hand stops moving, my eyesight starts failing, when my hearing goes off, all those things.
Yes, but also spell out what benefits could be accrued to the economy, the larger national economy, because of this move.
One of the big things is, Gautam, that's a very good point, because what happens is people at the lowest end of the income decile, they naturally, their ability to save is very little. That's one of the reasons why they can't create a pension scheme on their own, first of all. Now, that pension scheme is doing. But on the very immediate level, what happens is the moment there is that safety, they can start thinking that, hang on, with my consumption, I can be a bit more adventurous. I can start consuming stuff, for instance, for education, for my children, for healthcare. These things start adding up in the economy, and they start adding up slowly, but they add up surely, and that is a very major thing.
How significant is the fact that it will be the Life Insurance Corporation, as far as the Kisan Man Dhan scheme is concerned, which will be managing the entire the entire scheme from initiation to disbursal of benefit?
That is where, just like for instance we were talking about Ujala. In Ujala, the organizations which are working on it are BPCL, IOC and HPCL. Similarly, here the government run LIC is going to do it, and that is where we need a lot of handholding, because essentially these companies are doing two things. First of all, they are also running, typically they have to show their profit lines, but they have also got this task which they have to do. So, that is where the government needs to be able to think that how is it possible, and to what extent is it possible for these organizations to match both. Done smartly, it is a wonderful opportunity. We have seen that in our neighbor China, where they used small savings to create a revolution. We can do that, but it needs a bit of out of the box thinking, and that I think is very essential, that the organizations start realizing that it's just not disbursal. When the money is coming, it's an insurance scheme that can be made smarter. Don't just depend on the government dole. There's plenty that can be done, and it's not been attempted anywhere before.
In fact, before I wind up, I wanted to ask you about taking a bird's eye view on the entire social security net which exists now in the country. How does it compare to, say, it's not fair to really compare to any other country.
It's a remarkable change. It's a remarkable change.
But still, I mean, there would be comparisons.
Absolutely, this is remarkable, and there are not too many countries at this level of per capita income which have even tried it. It's frankly a hugely ambitious program, and it's a remarkable thought process that you bring in so many factors together and try to deliver. And that it can be delivered, we have seen to some extent already. Some of the schemes have already started showing results. We have seen in terms of rural housing. You remember, that's a very big achievement that's been done. There are so many others.
You mentioned per capita income, I would say population as well.
Population, that both are on the same lines. That basically the fact is that it's such a huge population, to be able to do it across all sorts of terrains, all sorts of states, all sorts of administrative structures, yet we are already seeing, for instance, the success of the open defecation free campaign. Those campaigns have started showing results, and already, like for instance, one of the agencies, international agencies, I think we discussed in Doordarshan itself about how India's health parameters have started changing because of ODF campaign.
And they'll change further because of Ayushman Bharat.
Absolutely. So, these things start when they start delivering results, and they have started delivering results in the scheme that they are. It's very massive in terms of, the electricity for all scheme, which actually has made it now an acknowledged fact that every house should have an electricity line. Now, these are scale, of a scale which has never been attempted before. That's true. It has been thought of that we should be able to do it, but we really didn't have too many of the scales except
that's what New India is all about, and we are building that, and these are the builders of New India who deserve the kind of a social security net that is now being given. They deserved it a long time ago. It's happening now. It's very heartening and very promising as well for the entire country, for the country's economy, for each and every Indian, not just for the ones who are the direct beneficiaries. Thanks a lot for joining us, Shubhamay Bhattacharjee, this evening. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also inaugurated the Jharkhand Assembly building and laid the foundation stone for the Secretariat complex as well. The PM described the building as a temple of democracy where dreams and aspirations of the people of Jharkhand will come true.
ये भवन लोकतंत्र में आस्था रखने वाले प्रत्येक नागरिक के लिए तीर्थ स्थान है.
Jharkhand State Assembly being dedicated to the nation nearly 2 decades after the state was formed.
ये भवन सिर्फ एक इमारत नहीं है, चार दीवारें नहीं है. ये भवन एक ऐसा पवित्र स्थान है जहां झारखंड के लोगों के सुनहरे भविष्य की नींव रखी जाएगी.
The foundation stone of the building was laid on the 12th of June 2015 by Chief Minister Raghubar Das, and it has been completed in record time. Built at an approximate cost of 465 crore rupees, the complex is spread across an area of 39 acres. An amalgamation of modern architecture and traditional art, is the first paperless assembly. Taking a step towards protecting the environment, the 3-storied building will run on solar energy and have means for water harvesting as well as energy conservation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lauded parliamentarians for a historic monsoon session that proved to be the most productive session so far.
संसद के कामकाज का श्रेय सभी सांसदों, सभी राजनीतिक दलों और उनके सभी नेताओं को भी जाता. मेरी तरफ से सभी सांसदों को बधाई, देशवासियों को बधाई.
The PM also laid the foundation stone for the new Secretariat building at Ranchi. Built at a cost of 1,238 crore rupees, it will be spread across 23,60,000 square feet. The new Secretariat will house all 32 departments of the state government. The 4-storied building will have an east as well as a west wing. With Kumar Alok and Divakar in Ranchi, Bureau Report, DD News. And while he was in Ranchi, the PM also recounted the first 100-day journey of his government in its second avatar, in its second term, and how it has witnessed historic initiatives.
हमारा संकल्प है हर घर जल पहुंचाने का. देश जल जीवन मिशन को पूरा करने के लिए निकल पड़ा है. 100 दिन के भीतर ही 3 तलाक के खिलाफ कड़ा कानून लागू कर दिया. हमारा संकल्प है आतंकवाद के खिलाफ निर्णायक लड़ाई का. हमारा संकल्प है जम्मू कश्मीर और लद्दाख को विकास की नई ऊंचाई पर पहुंचाने का. 100 दिन के भीतर ही इसकी शुरुआत हमने कर दी। हमारा संकल्प है जनता को लूटने वालों को उनकी सही जगह पहुंचाने का।
Now, moving on, Governor Satyapal Malik has launched the Market Intervention Scheme for apples of Jammu and Kashmir with the objective of providing optimum prices to growers. This scheme has been approved by the Department of Agriculture and Cooperation, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Government of India under the aegis of the Ministry of Home Affairs for the current apple harvesting season. The scheme will be implemented in Jammu and Kashmir by the Directorate of Planning and Marketing, supported by the Directorate of Horticulture in Kashmir and Jammu and Kashmir Horticultural Produce Marketing and Processing Corporation Limited.
हमारी पैदावार है लगभग 20 लाख मेट्रिक टन और लगभग ये बिजनेस 8,000 करोड़ रुपए का है, लेकिन इसको कोई सिक्योरिटी नहीं थी। खासतौर से सी ग्रेड एप्पल जो है वो तो मिट्टी के दाम जाता था। मैं इस बात के लिए बधाई देना चाहता हूं होम मिनिस्टर साहब को कि उन्होंने हम लोगों के कहते ही फौरन उन्होंने इस मैकेनिज्म को तेज किया और 2 हफ्ते से भी कम टाइम में सारा सिस्टम खड़ा हो गया और कायदे कानून तय हो गए कि किस तरह से हम इनको दाम देंगे।
Well, while the governor's step augurs well for all those who are involved in the key apple business in Kashmir, a lot of things are moving in a positive direction as far as the entire state of Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. Take a look.
Even as situation is getting better in J&K, security forces are keeping a strict vigil. Security forces and intelligence agencies have thwarted a major terror plot in Jammu and Kashmir. The police on Thursday arrested 3 terrorists affiliated to Jaish-e-Mohammed in Lakhanpur area of Katwa district in Jammu and Kashmir. The police also seized a truck loaded with the arms and ammunition near the border in the same region. SSP Katwa Sridhar Patil said that 4 AK-56 and 2 AK-47, 6 magazines and 180 live rounds have been recovered. He added that the police will intensify search operations along the Punjab border considering increasing attempts of infiltration from Pakistan.
हमने ट्रकों की चेकिंग के दौरान एक ट्रक जिसका नंबर JK13E2000 पुलवामा में जो रजिस्टर्ड है उस ट्रक को सर्च तलाश करते टाइम 3 लोगों को गिरफ्त में लिया है, जिनके इलीगल पोजीशन में हमें 4 AK-56 और 2 AK-47 राइफल्स, 180 जिंदा कारतूस और साथ ही साथ और सामान मिला हुआ है।
Army Chief General Bipin Rawat said that the move to abrogate Article 370 is in the interest of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. Speaking with the media, the Army Chief reiterated that the Indian Army is fully geared to protect the nation.
जिस तरह से सरकार निर्देश देगी, उस तरह के अन्य संस्थाएं जो देश में हैं जिनको कार्रवाई करनी है वो आगे कार्रवाई करेंगे। सेना तो सदा तैयार रहती है हर एक कार्रवाई के लिए।
A delegation of Panch and Sarpanch met with the Union Minister Jitendra Singh on Thursday. He said that the abrogation of Jammu and Kashmir special status under Article 370 has empowered the grassroots democracy as central funds for the development will now go directly to the panchayats. He added that with the abrogation of Article 370, the panchayats have also been given autonomy and thus empowered.
हमारी रियासत जम्मू और कश्मीर में 5 अगस्त को जो बिल पेश हुआ उसके बाद हमारी पहली मुलाकात है और हमें बहुत ज़्यादा तवक्कात इनके साथ हैं। ये ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हमारा चूँकि फार फलंग एरिया बहुत निगलेक्टेड एरिया है, हमें बहुत ज़्यादा एक्सपेक्टेशंस हैं कि ये ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा वहाँ की तरफ तवज्जो देंगे।
370 हटने के बाद पहले ये लगता था कि हशाश बशाश थे लोग, लेकिन बाद में जब पता चला, डिबेट से भी पता चला और प्रधानमंत्री का जो बयान हुआ 15 अगस्त को, तो उससे क्लियर हुआ कि वाकई जो है ये लोक हित में है, देश हित में है। फैसले कठोर ज़रूर हैं लेकिन देश हित में है।
Restrictions have also been eased for the movement of people and vehicles in many areas, but security continues to be deployed for law and order situation.
Restrictions have been lifted from nearly all areas. Insofar as Kashmir Valley is concerned, landlines are fully functional. Considerable mobiles are functional in Kupwara and Handwara. Traffic on the road has increased manifold. The situation has remained peaceful by and large.
External Affairs Ministry said that Pakistan is narrating a false propaganda regarding human rights.
2 or 3 things became very clear. The first is Pakistan's attempt to polarize and politicize the situation. That has been rejected. Global community is aware about Pakistan's role in aiding, abetting and supporting terrorist infrastructure, which they have in their country.
J&K governor said if anyone tries to intimidate apple growers, strict action will be taken against them. Newsnight desk, DD India.
A high-level Indian delegation led by MEA Secretary East Vijay Thakur Singh met Michelle Bachelet, United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights in Geneva, and briefed her about the current situation in Jammu and Kashmir. She also conveyed India's concerns on the threat posed by cross-border terrorism emanating from Pakistan.
Updated her about the situation in Jammu and Kashmir. It's fast returning to normal, and I think she appreciated that, and we would continue to engage with her. We briefed her about the Pakistan's support to terrorism and the continued efforts to disturb the situation in Jammu and Kashmir through terrorists.
Now, the country's leading Muslim organization, Jamiat Ulema-e-Hind, at its annual conference passed a resolution today saying that Kashmir is an integral part of India. The Jamiat Ulema-e-Hind, in its general counselling, reiterated its unflinching stand that Kashmir is an integral part of India and that all Kashmiris are our compatriots. The resolution added that Jamiat Ulema-e-Hind has always stood steadfastly for the unity and integrity of the country and has accorded it the paramount importance. It also added that it's our firm belief that the welfare of the people of Kashmir lies in getting integrated with India.
हमने 1951 में कश्मीर को लेकर रेजोल्यूशन पास किया है, हमने 1963 में पास किया है और अब 2019 में भी किया है, बिल्कुल एक उस सोच के साथ कि हमारा देश है, हम इसके हैं, ये हमारा है। देश की सिक्योरिटी और इंटीग्रिटी दोनों चीजों पर कोई समझौता किसी कीमत पर नहीं किया जा सकता। हम पूरी तरह अपने मुल्क के साथ हैं और चेताना चाहते हैं मुल्क दुश्मन ताकतों को, चाहे वो अंदर की हो चाहे बाहर की हो। नेशनल इशू पर हम अपने नेशन के साथ थे, हैं और रहेंगे।
And the Jamiat Ulema-e-Hind General Secretary also hit out at Pakistan for projecting Kashmir as an issue for Muslims.
हमारा दुश्मन, हमारा पड़ोसी मुल्क पाकिस्तान, साफ-साफ कहूं, पाकिस्तान दुनिया भर को ये दिखाने की कोशिश कर रहा है भारत के खिलाफ, ये कि भारत के मुसलमानों को इसमें एक पार्टी बनाने की कोशिश हो रही है। हम इसको कंडेम करते हैं। भारत का मुसलमान कोई तीसरी पार्टी नहीं, भारत का मुसलमान भारतीय है, भारत के साथ है, अपने देश के साथ।
And Pakistan's own keep on the series of embarrassing the country. Interior Minister Brigadier Ijaz Ahmed Shah has now been added to that list, saying that no country is believing Pakistan over Kashmir today. He said that Islamabad has failed to get support from the international community over its stand on Kashmir. He also said that, in fact, he said this while speaking to a local TV channel, and said that Islamabad has been left red-faced after its desperate attempts to internationalize the Kashmir issue, which has been repeatedly falling flat on its face. Now, as Pakistan denied the second consular access to Indian national Kulbhushan Jadhav serving a jail term in that country, the Ministry of External Affairs has today said that India will keep trying that the judgment of the ICJ is fully implemented. MEA spokesperson has said that the Indian government would like to remain in touch with Pakistan through diplomatic channels over the subject.
हमने पाकिस्तान से लगातार कहा है कि हम इसकी पूरी तरह से, और हम ये कोशिश भी करते रहे हैं कि इसकी पूरी तरह से इम्प्लीमेंटेशन हो। हमने आप जो बता रहे हैं उनका बयान सुना है। हम फिर भी लगातार कोशिश करेंगे कि इंटरनेशनल कोर्ट ऑफ जस्टिस की जो जजमेंट है उसकी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन हो, फुल इम्प्लीमेंटेशन हो। और जहाँ तक आगे का सवाल है, वी वुड लाइक टू रिमेन इन टच with the Pakistani side through diplomatic channels.
Now, a Delhi court has reserved for tomorrow its order on a plea by former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram lodged in Tihar Central Jail in the Annex Media corruption case. He, in fact, wanted to surrender in the money laundering case as well. Special Judge Ajay Kumar Kuhar was informed by the Enforcement Directorate that P. Chidambaram's arrest in the Annex Media money laundering case is necessary, but it will be done at an appropriate time. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta told the court that Chidambaram is already in judicial custody in the CBI's corruption case and not in a position to tamper with any evidence. Senior advocate Kapil Sibal, appearing for P. Chidambaram, contended that the Enforcement Directorate submission is malified and is intended to make P. Chidambaram suffer. The Delhi High Court, in fact, today sought the CBI's response on a plea of a former finance minister lodged in Tihar in the INX Media corruption case. He, in fact, wanted bail in that particular matter. Justice Suresh Keth issued a notice to the CBI over Chidambaram's bail plea, in which he has claimed that it was the case of a political vendetta. The Congress leader also withdrew from the High Court his plea challenging the trial court's order remanding him to judicial custody till the 19th of September. The court listed the matter for further hearing on the 23rd of this month. And while reiterating his government's commitment to development of the nation, the Prime Minister said that previous governments who looted the nation and considered themselves above the law are now being put behind bars.
विकास हमारी प्राथमिकता भी है और हमारी प्रतिबद्धता भी है। विकास का हमारा वादा भी इतना ही अटल इरादा भी है। आज देश जितनी तेजी से चल रहा है उतनी तेजी से पहले कभी नहीं चला। आज देश में जिस तरह के परिवर्तन आ रहे हैं वो पहले कभी सोचे भी नहीं जा सकते। जिन लोगों ने सोच लिया था कि वो देश के कानून से भी ऊपर उठ चुके हैं, देश की अदालतों से भी ऊपर हैं, वो आज अदालत से जमानत की गुहार लगा रहे हैं।
Information and Broadcasting Secretary Amit Khare participated in an interactive session today with young Indian Information Service officers at the Indian Institute of Mass Communication in the national capital. At their valedictory function, the INB Secretary encouraged the officers to remain updated over government schemes and policies as well as current issues. He added that their main job lies in enhancing communication in all spheres.
Communication will be the key over the next few decades, and you as the information officers, we call you as information officers, but basically you are a communication person. You will be having a very important role to play at all levels. To be in that latter category where you are recognized not by your designations of director or ADG or DG, but you are recognized as a person by the worth of what you have achieved.
Let's get you some international news now. And the trade war between US and China has been on for nearly the last 1 year. It has impacted the global economy, and India has also not been left unscathed. The clash over tariff and non-tariff issues impacting the balance of trade between the world's two largest economies has hurt them as well. So much so that a thaw seems to be descending in autumn, raising hopes of the new age Cold War going into ceasefire mode before winter sets in. Here's more.
The raging trade war between the United States and China is showing signs of a cool down. Thursday morning, India time, saw US President Donald Trump putting out 2 tweets saying, at the request of the Vice Premier of China, Liu He, and due to the fact that People's Republic of China will be celebrating their 70th anniversary on October 1st, we have agreed as a gesture of goodwill to move the increased tariffs on $250 billion worth of goods from October 1st to October 15th. Trump's tweets means a fortnight-long deferment on another round of tariff hikes coming into effect on a sizable chunk of Chinese goods. a sign of goodwill which could turn the tide on trade and diplomatic hostilities between the world's two biggest economies. China certainly sees a ray of hope in the US president's latest trade move.
China welcomes the US goodwill gesture. As far as I know, Chinese enterprises have already begun to inquire about purchasing American agricultural product. We hope that the two sides will continue to meet each other halfway and take concrete actions to create favorable conditions for the consultation, which is in the interest of both sides and the whole world at large. As for the 13th round of US high-level economic and trade consultations, both sides are communicating on the relevant arrangements thereof. Further details will be announced in a time manner.
Trump's move came hours after China said it would spare a number of US products from punitive tariffs. China's decision is seen as an olive branch being extended from Beijing to Washington, D.C. Chinese move ahead of high-level trade talks in October, Washington, but goods spared do not include agricultural items crucial to success of a trade deal. Exemptions become effective from 17th of September and will be valid for a year. Spared goods mainly include seafood products and anti-cancer. Both sides impose fresh tit-for-tat tariffs on 1st of September. Raised levies now cover goods worth hundreds of billions of dollars. A bilateral trade deal between the US and China has been in the works almost ever since the trade war was triggered off last year. The US wants a huge trade imbalance tilted in China's favor to be addressed apart from issues related to intellectual property matters and non-tariff barriers which have kept several American companies out of the massive Chinese market. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
And that brings up our second in focus tonight, which is US-China trade war thaw. And to talk about it, we have the privilege of having Dilip Sinha with us, former permanent representative to United Nations in Geneva. Very good evening to you, Dilip Sinha. What do you make of what's happening? What has really changed? Because it just seems that fall is supposed to be the best season as far as the US is concerned. You know, they call autumn fall over there, and it is looking very promising right now.
Well, China is finally woken up to the fact that President Donald Trump is serious about the measures he has taken. He's not going to budge. And despite whatever difficulties the US economy is facing today, President Trump has realized that the only way to make China see reason is to impose restrictions and tariff barriers on Chinese exports, to make China realize that the continued imbalance in trade is unsustainable. And it is at China's request this time that the US has responded and postponed the action that he was planning to take. America is particularly concerned about the fact that China, over the last 18 years after it became a member of the WTO, has been taking full advantage of the fact that it's a developing country. It enjoys special and differential treatment, but for the last 10 years it has become the world's largest exporter. So it's untenable that China continues to enjoy the status of a developing country, and at the same time it's a huge exporter, continues to build up trade foreign exchange reserves, impose restrictions on exports from the US and from other developed countries as well as from other developing countries, and this is completely unsustainable.
But what do you see happening next? You know, because the next round is very close. The date is very close in Washington, less than a month to go, perhaps.
Yes, China will have to address some of the concerns that the US has been expressing. The non-tariff barriers that China imposes, the kind of requirements of on foreign companies to make investments, compulsory investments in China, the intellectual property right violations that take place, the theft of property rights. These issues have to be addressed by China to make the US
And how hopeful are you that they will be addressed? Because you have something like Brexit to consider as well, where you're coming to a stage where there could be a no-deal Brexit just because nobody wants to give an inch as to what was hammered out, but the UK wants something to be considered, and the EU saying no, that's the best that we can offer you.
Well, that also is a matter of concern for China, because Chinese exports have been slowing down, and that's because Europe is involved in its own internal problem with Brexit, and the US has imposed these restrictions. India also has for the first time, our foreign minister expressed concern over the trade imbalance with China. So China realizes that it has to give now, that it has to make certain concessions. It cannot continue to treat business as usual, the advantage that it's been taking. It has to carry out reforms within its own economy, and it remove these non-tariff barriers to enable trade to become a little more balanced. The kind of huge trade surpluses that China has been enforcing in its trade has to relent.
In fact, what Donald Trump had to say to the press corps in Washington D.C. was rather interesting. He said that the Chinese the value chains that it had built its strength, economic strength on, that structure has begun to crumble. That is a very telling assessment. Do you feel that is actually happening? And if it is happening, then obviously that economic activity has to shift elsewhere.
Yes, initially when China started attracting investment from the US through various compulsory measures, it's estimated that the US lost about 1 million manufacturing jobs to China. Now, as the US imposes restrictions on China's exports to the US, and China is losing out its market, US companies, also because of security concerns that the US has with regard to certain companies in China, several US companies are moving out of China, and they are looking for opportunities for investment. Countries like India are being looked at, but Vietnam, Bangladesh are also being considered as places where the US companies can relocate because of the difficulties they face with China.
And India is then it senses an opportunity, and are we doing enough to grab that opportunity with both hands?
Well, it certainly should, and it's been expressed by our people also that this is an opportunity for us. The fact that China had so far never looked at or never thought that the trade deficit with India is a matter of concern for India, but now it is taking a look at that. For example, our generic medicines, of which we are one of the world's largest exporters, these generic medicines are called fake medicines by China. So, but now there was a news report that China is considering the possibility of opening up its market for India's generic medicines, despite the fact that India is a major importer of organic chemicals from China, which form the basic material for our pharmaceutical industry. So China continues to use the Indian market for its exports, but puts restrictions on our exports to China.
And if things work out, and it's a good thing for all of us to really hope that US and China work things out in terms of their trade deal. Would it somehow help with the kind of issues that have cropped up in the recent past as far as our trade relations with the US are also concerned?
Well, we are also to a certain extent being targeted by President Donald Trump on the concessions that we have enjoyed under GSP, the Generalized Scheme of Preferences, as a developing country. But our trade deficit with the US is extremely small change for the US. So we can settle that, and in any case, that's one of the few countries with which we have a trade surplus. Overall, we have a huge deficit in our
the defense purchases from the US, are they counted in the trade figures?
Yes, and as we increase our defense imports from the US, that will to a great extent address this deficit that we have with the US.
And that has been happening. We just inducted Apaches as well, so I don't see that will be an issue to really hammer things out like the US has been having to with China. And let's hope that things move in the positive direction there as well, because everyone will benefit if things get worked out between US and China, the world's two biggest economies. Thank you for joining us this evening, Dilip Sinha.
Thank you.
All right, on to sports now. And Firoz Shah Kotla Cricket Stadium has been renamed after former Union Minister and President of the Delhi and District Cricket Association, late Arun Jaitley. The renaming of the stadium was done to honour the leader who served as a DDCA President from 1999 to 2013. Union Home Minister Amit Shah was the chief guest on the occasion, and the event was also attended by Sports Minister Kiran Rijiju. At the same function, a stand at Delhi's famous cricket venue was named after Indian cricket captain Virat Kohli.
में अरुण जी के सभी चाहने वालों और भारतीय जनता पार्टी की ओर से श्री रजत शर्मा का हृदय से धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं कि इन्होंने ये स्टेडियम का नाम श्री अरुण जेटली के साथ जोड़ा है। जहां तक क्रिकेट का सवाल है, बीसीसीआई आज जिस मकाम पर है उसमें अरुण जी का बहुत बड़ा रोल है। श्री जगमोहन डालमिया जी ने बीसीसीआई को आज का स्वरूप देने का काम किया और अरुण जी ने आईपीएल के वक्त, आईपीएल की जब रचना हो रही थी, एक लीगल डॉक्यूमेंट इस तरह से बनाया कि टेस्ट क्रिकेट भी बना रहा, वनडे क्रिकेट भी बना रहा और आईपीएल भी साथ में चल पड़ा।
So, fitting tribute there to Arun Jaitley. That's all we have time for in Newsnight tonight, but all the latest continues right here on DD India. Do stay tuned.
Hello and a very warm welcome to the brand new edition of Policy Watch. I'm Kriti Mishra. Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has released Draft National Resource Efficiency Policy. The policy envisions a future with environmentally sustainable and equitable economic growth, resource security, healthy environment and restored ecosystems with rich ecology and biodiversity.